Well, there it is, guys. That's my 1986 Freightliner that we've been talking about in the past. If you're new to the channel, you probably had no clue what we were talking about, but that's the big girl right there. That's a 1986 Freightliner FLC 120. She's got a 400 big cam mechanical Cummins in it. Pretty much a bulletproof, solid engine. At the beginning of this video, you seen her smoking right when we started it. That was a sure tale sign to find my truck if I was in a truck stop. You could walk out of the truck stop, and if you didn't see that nice little coat of smoke, you could smell this truck. It just has its own little smell. It's not like a bad smell when you smell a truck through, like if turbo is going out, or if one of these new trucks is actually doing one of those regent things. It's not like that smell. It's a good smell. She runs with a 13-speed transmission, 373s. Give me a break. It's probably been 5-6 years since I've driven her. I think it's 373s for the rear end gears. And as you can see, she's not a real long machine. I mean, that steer axle right there, that's a setback steer axle. It's kind of rare, sorta. I mean, you kind of think about it, that steer axle sets back, I want to say it's 12 inches to 18 inches further than your normal set forward steer axle. And it gives it a little bit of a goofy look on the front end, but it's a goofy look that I've always liked. I've always liked running up and down the road with her, and it just gave it that rare look that you didn't see on a lot of trucks. This truck has been to, gosh, I used to make many trips to Los Lunas, New Mexico with this truck. Of course, down to Texas, Alabama, Florida, all the way up to Pennsylvania, and then back over and in between everything. We even went up to Minnesota a few times with it, and this truck's been through Colorado and Wyoming, which First Class has not. This truck has a lot of memories. This truck started over in the Nebraska, the eastern Nebraska area, with a cousin of mine. He drove it for many years, and then when he upgraded or got himself a Peterbilt, he sold it to my uncle. My uncle drove it for many years, and after he got done driving it, I bought it from my uncle. So it's been in the family for a long time. I myself have had this truck for 12 years. I think that's my dad. Yep. No, the red one's down in Topeka, Kansas, broke down. Washing up the engine of someday is not a big task. Washing up the engine of someday, it goes pretty quick actually, because this big cam Cummins has never been a leaker. It's never leaked a lot, and there's really not much oil to wash off of it. Well, while I was telling you guys about the engine not leaking and really being a pretty solid engine in there, that is the second engine I've put in this truck. The first one was a big cam 4 Cummins as well, but that one was getting a little wore out, and so I got this engine and put it in there. This engine actually came out of another farm truck, but it was a fresher engine. It had been rebuilt within, I think it was 62,000 miles, somewhere in there, when I put this one in there. So in total, this engine might have maybe, I don't know. That's the thing about someday there. She's on her second speedometer, and I don't know mileage of, like, her true mileage, how many miles are on the old girl or how many miles are on the engine. I do know that there's under 500,000 miles on the engine, and I do know that I put at least 700,000 miles on the truck. So who knows? That's just the way that goes sometimes when you have something that's over 30 years old. On another note, check this little thing out here. That black pickup that was driving away, or that gentleman I was talking to when I was washing up the driver's side of the engine, he makes these. And that is phenomenal. Something like this is about 90 bucks. That is awesome. If you're interested in anything like that, it's a laser cut. It's cut into the wood. He's local here in Mapleton. So if you're interested in anything like that, go ahead and throw a comment down below and I will go ahead and forward it on to him. That's a relatively new fuel tank strap. Remember, the truck's been setting for a little bit over 5 years, so nothing I say is new because it's been setting that long. I remember when that fuel tank strap went out on me. I was in southwestern Oklahoma, and if you've ever been down in that neck of the woods, things can get kind of rough on the road. Plus it was just a little bit wore out. It broke on me and I pulled into a truck stop and I hadn't known it had broken yet. And I'd walked out, and every time I stop at a truck stop, I always walk around the truck, just eyeballing, just seeing how things were going. And this tank was setting considerably, well, about right there actually. True me fashion. It was 3 o'clock in the morning, so I threw a bunch of ratchet straps around it, strapped it up to where it was supposed to be, and we continued on the next 800 miles till we got home. Just little memories like that I have with this truck, a lot of little memories. So why don't you go ahead and use this truck as a backup truck, Kurt? Why don't you take this truck and just have it sitting out back, and whenever first class breaks down, you go ahead and jump in someday and you use it. In a rich man's world, that would probably be the best case scenario, but if you're going to just jump up and use a truck, there's authority. Well, I have my own authority. What would we call this? Licensing. This truck right now is 100% licensed for personal use. It has a county license plate on it. It doesn't have an out-of-state or a commercial use license on it any longer. Insurance. Well, right now this truck doesn't have an ounce of insurance on it. But if you were going to put the truck into circuit, if you were going to put a commercial license plate on it, that way it's on the ready, on the go for when first class breaks down, you can just jump in it and go. You have to carry insurance, and you have to carry, well, I think even the minimum amount of insurance, you're looking at another $300-400 a month, not counting every year when you license this thing as a commercial truck. Well, there's an automatic $1,500 without even worrying about all the upkeep and the keeping it up to DOT snuff, because right now she's not up to DOT snuff, so that wouldn't go good. So that's why I'm not going to use it as a reserve. She already has more lights than first class even ever had on it before I took the lights off of it. This thing was a rolling Christmas tree when I'd run it up and down the roads. In true LED fashion, you know, a lot of the LEDs don't work inside there, but each bulb does come on. But the actual individual bulb of the LEDs No, they don't all work anymore. Alright, so why not just stop driving first class and continuously drive Someday here? Someday does not have a lot of luxuries. AC and heat. It has air conditioning and it has heat. But when I sleep and it's hot out, I like to be cold. When I drive and it's cold out, I like to be warm. Someday, she's going to need just a little bit more work to hit there. We're talking to finish up the interior, to finish up the insulation that I had started on it and just never completed. Then you would have maybe the competition with the W900 in the wise of keeping cool or keeping warm. And in the wise of room, she doesn't stand a chance. She can't compete with First Class when it comes to room. First Class has an 86-inch studio sleeper with a couch. Someday, I think that sleeper is 40-inch or 42-inch. No, I think it's probably around 38 to 40-inch. It's a coffin sleeper. There's a mattress back there. That's all the room you have. Opie? No, he couldn't come with me anymore. Kids? No, they're too grown up to come with me in that truck anymore. When I stopped driving this truck, we were already sleeping head to feet just to fit us both in there. You know, all in all, the tires have held in quite nice, but I do think they are due for replacement. I do have tread, but these tires are recaps. I ran recaps back before I started running First Class. When I ran Someday here, the Freightliner, I ran a lot of recaps on it, and they never treated me bad. Other than troubles balancing them would be about it, but they are recaps. They have great tread, but the sidewalls are starting to get some cracks in them, and that's what you really don't want. All else considered, you know, recaps plus setting over 5 years, they could be worse. Alright, we got all the mud washed off of everything. Now we're going to let that dry up, then we're going to crawl underneath the truck and we're going to try to find an air leak. I have an air leak that is keeping the 4 airbags under there from airing up. Those 4 airbags, they're just tiny little things, and when it comes to the ride, they do so much. They can't soften it up. I mean, you get an old truck like this and that's all there is to it. They're just a rough riding old battle axe. It is 94 degrees today. Not complaining, because here shortly it's going to be in the 60s and 50s and 40s and 30s and 20s and teens. Then we'll have 2 months to where it won't even get above zero. So you get outside and you try to enjoy 94 degrees. You just lose a lot of weight from the sweat. We're into day number 2 now, working on someday here, just getting her cleaned up a little bit. We have looked at the air leak. We've dug into it, and we've realized that there are 2 airbags back there that, well, they've sat for so long that they're not holding air. So the 2 airbags back there is our air leak. There is one behind the dash. It's behind the instrument cluster, or the adjuster for your, it's going to be for your floor, your defrost, or your vent type thing that goes back and forth. And that's a common part to go out on Freightliners. So when you have a truck that is over 30 years old and it just now goes out, you did pretty good. Yeah, cleaning her up. The airbags were the leak. I got 2 airbags that won't hold air. They cracked.
Oh well.
It's all right. It'll go on.
Replace those. Huh?
It's okay.
It's okay.
What are you 2 doing?
We are trying to keep the kids happy. They like to go outside. For a ride. Gaming tonight.
Well, tomorrow night's the game. It's supposed to be 87. Poor boys. They're going to fall over.
Can't catch a break. It was that way last year. Every freaking game they had was warm.
Jax, get over here. Jax.
Watch this, watch this. Watch. Millie, get in here. Sit down. You should listen to me. How come you don't listen? Oh, okay. You say bye? Say bye?
Bye.
You need a haircut.
Bye.
You don't want to cut your hair. Alright, see you later.
See ya.
Be good. Say bye. Hang on. Hang on. We're going to do you. We're racing back.
Well, that was a nice visit from Dad. Got a couple very light stains right here. And this tough stuff actually works pretty good for the light stains. You know, I remember when I first bought this truck, it had one of those big 22-inch steering wheels in it, with like giant, really skinny ones in it. That was one of the first things that I got rid of. I didn't get this steering wheel, but I put a just an 18-inch steering wheel in it to make it a little bit more comfortable for me. And then of course that 18-inch steering wheel that I put in it was a black plastic molded one, and it broke. And I was over by, was it Joplin? No, I was down in Missouri off of Interstate 70. Is it exit 28, I think, at the chrome shop there. It actually broke on me while I was out in Indianapolis, and the top part, it just went like this the whole time. And I ended up driving it from Indianapolis to Missouri there, and I went in and bought this one. I put this one on, well, once again, it was about 2-3 o'clock in the morning, so I was sitting in the fuel island, and it's a ghost town, no one's there, and I just switched steering wheels right there at the fuel island. That was kind of cool. Guys with pretty boy trucks now, though, those big decked out Pete's or Kenworths, they're going back and they're spending $400+ for those big 22-inch steering wheels that are about that thin. I don't know why. That's the big thing I don't like about old trucks. Like, cosmetic wise, I just never really caught on to the old big steering wheels. They were from when you didn't have power steering. You would need that much wheel to turn, you know. These things, this thing actually turns sharper, turns better, and turns nicer than first class. But that's just another memory I got with this old girl. The steering wheel breaking on me while I was in Indianapolis. This whole top part from right here to right here, it was just it was just busted. You know, another thing I did when I first bought this truck is it doesn't have, what do you call that, tilt on your steering column. It doesn't come down, it doesn't go up. And as you can see, that's where it used to set. I put shims in there, and I shimmed it to where it was angled down more towards me. With a smaller steering wheel, worked out quite nicely. If you guys are wondering, well, you're probably not wondering at this point, because if I haven't put it in the title of the video, then, well, surprise, I'm selling my truck. I'm selling my old Freightliner truck. I've owned it for 5 years. No, I've owned the truck for 12 years, and for the past 5.5 years, all it has done is sit. I've gotten it out twice. I've taken it to a truck show and put it into truck parades, so there's 3 times. I've done nothing to it. It has just plain sat. It's kind of chewing me up for it just sitting, and I think it's time. I think it's time to sell the truck. It's okay. It's alright. It's time to go. Those might have just looked like random numbers on a piece of paper, but Troy used to sit right here and he would write down every single truck that he met in a little notepad. His glasses are in the sun in the glove box, and he even has his work gloves in here too. This little notepad, he'd keep track of everything. That's how he did everything right there. I'm betting this is probably from Paige. I could see Paige bringing that with us, not Troy. That was fun. Nice little drive around town. I enjoyed that. That really was. Got everything cleaned up and it's looking pretty. Whew. You guys already don't have to tell me. I know that I am making a grave mistake, but it needs to be done. No, not because first class is still broke down, by the way. There was a few of you that had mentioned, hey, you should probably sell that old Freightliner of yours and put the money into first class. Fix her up. No. First class doesn't get a penny, not a dime of any other money but what she earns. So when the trucking industry gets back to where a person can make a really comfortable living and make their truck look pretty, that's when we will start putting money back into first class. If some of you are wondering why we're just doing nothing to it, it's because the government, whole nother conversation. I'm not going to post the price yet, and I'm not going to post how to get a hold of me to ask if it's for sale still or not, because I have hopes. I have one person, a family, that I called and I asked if they wanted to buy the truck, and they said yes they do. So we're going to wait. But I'm just letting you guys know that's what I'm doing. I'm selling my truck. Almost had a video without fueling anything up. We cannot have a video without fueling anything up. Is that Farmer Dan? Hey, Farmer Dan! How you doing, buddy? Dan! Dan, wave at me, Dan! He won't even look at us. That's rude, Dan. That's very rude. Wave at us, Dan. Wave at us, Dan. Hi, Dan. He won't wave. He just looks at me. He won't wave. Hi, Dan. See, he waved. That's my uncle, Farmer Dan. They're in the field here. They got harvest going in full swing out on the outside of town, I guess. Oh, yeah. Bye.